Hi, and welcome to Origin of Concepts. In this episode, I'll teach you of the origin and inspiration source for creating the Greek god Zeus up here. You know, the guy with the thunderbolt. And this is also the same character used to create the Roman Jupiter. There's some difference in the characters and myth, but basically it's the same story. So this video will be about Zeus, and then you will also understand Jupiter. Zeus is the supreme ruler of the Greek pantheon, presiding over Mount Olympus as the god of the sky, thunder, and lightning. Known as the father of gods and men, he is often depicted as a lightning bolt, with a lightning bolt, an eagle, or a scepter, among other things. Zeus is the son of the Titan Kronos, or the Titans Kronos and Rhea, and famously overthrew his father to establish the Olympian reign. So, and to understand that, for new beginners, he established the contact between the gods and the mortal world, you know, us human here on Earth. The Zeus character and his action was made with inspiration of various aspects of the Milky Way Center, of course. And that's exactly why I am here right now. So let's go to the Milky Way Center here. And let's find Zeus. Because Zeus is a character mainly inspired by the striped shadow here. As connection between the divine and mortal realms. And this is the head of Zeus. There's also used other aspects from the Milky Center, but I'll tell you on the run. So let's start with some key features of Zeus, all his equipment. Because Zeus got the royal scepter, a staff topped with an eagle. And let me draw it for you here, because the staff is always the striped shadow here. This is always the scepter and staff, basically no matter in which ancient culture around the world we're talking about. And on top of the staff, we got the eagle, which is the silvery shadow here. And let me outline the eagle for those of you who don't have seen some of my other videos here. So here we got the eagle in the sky. So here we got the eagle on top of the staff or the scepter. And then we also got Zeus has a divine shield or breastplate with the name Aegis or Aegis, made of goat skin. And let's see if we can find this divine shield. The divine shield, or his breastplate, is of course the entire Milky Way Center here, because that's the shield, and we could argue that this is the handle. But this is the shield, and the reason why it's made of goat skin is because the entire Milky Way Center, or this part, is the goat in the sky. So let me outline the goat for you here, because I can just continue here, and then we got the goat horn. Oh, sorry. Let me go back. The goat horn is like the crescent here, because in Greek mythology, you know, the horn of the goat is broken, so you can drink of it. So here we got the horn of the goat, and the eye is like here. We could also argue that before the horns is broken, we could put it here like a goat. But no matter what, the entire Milky Way center is the goat skin, and it forms a shield, and that's Aegis, the shield of Zeus. Zeus also got the ability to transforming into a bull, a white bull. And let us outline the bull. Let's start here. It's something like that. And we're just following the outlines here of the shadows. And we do something like this. And in this case, here's a flying bull with the legs stretched behind. And here we got the stomach. So here we got the Zeus transformed into the white bull. And the reason why it's white is because of this white area here, the silvery shadow. Because that's the only color, because the rest is in a shade. It's black. And it's also here we got like the white horse, Pegasus, and other mythological animals. But here we got the bull of Zeus. Zeus also transformed into a swan and flying across the sky. And the swan is also the entire Milky Way center. I'll try to outline the swan here. We'll just make some details just for the... and something like this. And here we got the eye. And the striped shadow here is of course the wing of the swan, or the crescent here is always the wing. So here you got the wing of the swan. So here you got Zeus transforming into the swan. And Zeus also transforming into a golden eagle. And it's the same eagle as before. I outline it here because this is the eagle in the sky. Something like that. Here we got the eagle. So here we got Zeus as the golden eagle. And the golden color is of course the golden disk light here in the Milky Way center, the red part of the Milky Way. And then we got some a very good clue here, and not very few people are aware of this clue, because Zeus is also transforming to a cuckoo bird, and the cuckoo bird, got black and white stripes, and it's of course visualized by the same bird as the eagle, but a little different because the stripes of the bird, the black and white stripes, is the striped shadow here. So it's like the breast part of the bird, but an allegory of the same bird as I just showed you before. So here we got the cuckoo bird allegories. Zeus is crowned with the wreath of oak leaves from his sacred oak tree. And first of all, let me find a tree color here. And first of all, the oak tree is the entire Milky Way center. Here is that old oak on the hill you have seen so many times in movies. The grand old oak on the top of the hill. And the striped shadow here is of course the trunk of the tree. And the oak leaf itself, Zeus is symbolized by an oak leaf. And this leaf is the striped shadow here. This is the oak leaf in the sky. Here you got it. So that's why you see the oak with Zeus. And then we got the oak wreath. He is crowned with the oak wreath on his head. And for you who have seen my other videos will know that the striped shadow here is the crown, the crescent. And this crescent is also the wreath around the head. And to understand it, let me draw the head, because the head is the golden disc light, the spirit light here. And then we got the crown on the head with the leaves or oak leaves. Or it could be many other things, but in this case with Zeus, it's oak leaves. Alright, Zeus is sitting on his throne. This is his most famous position. You know, always sitting there in front of the temple on his throne. And the throne is, of course, the entire Milky Way center. And the golden disc area here is, of course, the seat of the throne. And here we got like the sides. And here we got the seat. So this is the throne in the sky. Also heavy related to the female throne here, the silvery shadow, like Isis in Egypt. But basically the throne is the Milky Way center. So every time you hear the word throne, it's the Milky Way center, where the golden disc light here, manifested spirit, is transformed into the mortal realm down to us here, so we can get some wisdom and understand all the mythologies, of course. Okay, and then the most famous of Zeus' weaponry is, of course, his thunderbolt, also named the Keraunos, which means thunderbolt, which is the striped shadow and the lightning. The stripes here in the striped shadow is the thunderbolts from Zeus. He's throwing the thunderbolts. And this is not mentioned in the myth, but this silvery shadow here is always the hand holding something. So we could argue that this is Zeus' hand holding the thunderbolt and throwing them into earth or down to earth, because the striped shadow here in this area always represent earth or the mortal realm, with the people looking up in the sky. So now you know where to find the thunderbolt of Zeus. The eagle of Zeus, is holding the thunderbolt in his claws. So this will back up my claim here. So let me draw the thunderbolt once again. We'll make it like this, just for illustrating. And then we got the eagle holding the thunderbolt in its claws. And let me outline the eagle again here. I guess you already see it here. Here, we got it. Holding the thunderbolt in its claws. So everything fits together. And that's why the eagle is the main animal of Zeus, of course. Okay, let's get into some key features from the textures, some of the stories to back up my claims here and see if things will fit together. Zeus' mother travels to Lyktos in Crete, where she gives birth to Zeus in a sacred cave on Mount Aegon. So let me start outlining the city of Lyktos, which means to pierce or to bore, drill. And it's of course a metaphor of the striped shadow, which also looks like a city in the sky. And by the way, this is always the city. So every mythological city in any text around the world is the striped shadow. And in many myths, the striped shadow, is piercing the heart, or piercing the eye, or piercing this and that. And it's also in North mythology, it's the boar tooth of Ratatosk, the little squirrel running up and down the Yggdrasil tree. So it fits together. And then Crete, the island Crete, where Zeus is landing, so to speak. Crete means cutting silver island. Cutting and silver is morphed together somehow in the etymology. And this is, of course, a metaphor for the silvery and the striped shadow. So this is Crete. This is the island of Crete here. And because the striped shadow is like the cutting, or we could also use the scythe here to cut the wheat here. The stripes is the wheat in the harvest. So it's a cutting island. And the silvery shadow is, of course, the silvery shadow here. Oh, sorry, the silvery island is the silvery shadow. The silver is silvery. And that's why I'm also using the term silvery shadow. And then we got the cave, because Zeus is hidden in the cave. And here is the mountain on the island of Crete. And if we follow the outlines here, the arch in heaven, it also forms the entrance to the cave. And the mountain is, of course, Mount Aegon. Aegon, which means the goatish, stormy place. And you already know where to find the goat. And the storm is also the striped shadow here. The whirlwind, the storm, the roaring wind and sea, and the roaring speech, God's speech, everything in movement. So here you got it. The wind in the stormy goat, the striped shadow in the Milky Way center. Okay, baby Zeus was swaddled and placed in a crib or cradle inside the cave. So let's take a look at that. Because here we got little baby Zeus lying in the cave. And the stripes here are the swaddle. And this is also used to invent the mummies in ancient Egypt. But in this case, it's baby Zeus in swaddling. And then he lies in the crib or cradle, which is basically the entire Milky Way center here. So here she is lying in this crib. This is also the same as the Jesus child in the cave, in the cradle. Same. So the Christians are just copycats of ancient Greek mythology. All right, Zeus is fed with milk from the she-goat Amalthea and honey from the sacred bees. So let's take a look at that. First of all, the she-goat Amalthea nursing Zeus is the silvery shadow. And let me outline her with red this time. This is the female shadow here, always. And she is the she-goat. And the reason why she is the she-goat with the broken horn, remember that, because Zeus break her horn, I guess, so he can drink milk or something like that. But let me outline her again here so I can show you exactly what it means. Here we got Amalthea, the she-goat. And the reason why she is the she-goat is because she got the broken horn. The striped shadow here is the horn of the she-goat. And then she's, of course, her female posture. Let me put some ribs here in the horn. And her body is also the goat, remember? Here. So that's why it's a she-goat with a broken horn. Enough of Amalthea. Yeah, and the milk is, of course, the white area here. This is always the nectar and for the gods and the milk. And this milk is, of course, inside the big breast here of Amalthea, nursing Zeus. And then we got the sacred bees, which brings honey to baby Zeus. And the striped shadow here is also seen as yellow and black stripes in the sky. And therefore, it's the texture of the bees. So therefore, the stripes in the striped shadow are the sacred bees. And they are, of course, bringing the honey, the golden disc light, the spirit, the nectar of the gods to baby Zeus. And the golden disc here is also the beehive used by Freemason. Just to mention one example, the beehive is used by many other cultures, but now you know that. The beehive in the Milky Way center. And beehive symbolism generally. Okay, so now we got the milk and honey, and this is, by the way, also the land of milk and honey, the promised land. Again, the Bible creators loaned a little bit from other older cultures to make their own ideas. Okay, outside the cave we got the Curities. Spirits guard the entrance to the cave, striking their spears against their shields, so that Kronos, the father of Zeus, cannot hear the cries of the child. And to make a long explanation short, the spirits are all the stripes here in the striped shadow. And they are, of course, standing outside the cave here. And the stripes also represents the spears and the shields. Because, as always, if we are talking more than one spear or one shield, it's always defined by the many here, the plenty in the striped shadow. Because the striped shadow represent one spear and one shield is the entire Milky Way center here. But as soon we are talking more than one, it's just the stripes in the striped shadow. And this goes again in basically every single myth around the world. So when we speak as a plenty of something, it's the stripe shadow, the crowd. Okay, I think yes, and then we got a little Snoopy Dooby Loopy. There's always hidden hints in the text. Nothing is, everything is written with a purpose, because it's all hints to our, divine, to our wisdom thinking. So the crying Zeus is visualized by the crying eye in the Milky Way center. And let me outline it for you, because this is the eye of Zeus here. And here we got his divine pupil. And the striped shadow here is the tears from the crying baby. So here again is a hidden layer in the obvious text, Nobody will think about this. But here it is. Okay, let's move on to, Zeus' cradle hangs in a tree, where he is neither in the sky, on the earth, nor in the sea. So basically he's nowhere, because he's in the Milky Way, of course. Let me explain. First of all, let's outline the tree here. This is the tree, and here's the trunk. And this is all the trees in every single, the tree of life, the tree of good and evil, the hulubu tree from ancient Mesopotamia, the sacred palm, you name it, all of them. This is the tree in the sky. And the cradle is, you already know that the cradle is the entire Milky Way center too. And the cradle hangs in the tree. And let me outline Zeus here. I'll just make him like stripes. And then he hangs in the tree, because this thin shadow here is the rope holding the cradle, so he's floating. And he hangs from the top of the tree. You will also read in the Norse mythology that Odin hung himself from a tree, and this is exactly the same patterns in the sky they saw. Totally unaware of each other's myth. Okay, and what else? And then they are putting the words sky, earth, and sea into the text. And let me outline it for you, because the sky and the sea is both allegories of this area here, the sky and the sea and the cloud and the firmament and etc. And then we got the earth, and I just told you before that the striped shadow is the area of the earth. So here they put it into the myth, and explaining that he's not touching either of them. And you see. All right, and then let's move on, because Zeus Zeus frees the Cyclops, who in return forges his thunderbolt, his lightning bolt. And I won't go into the entire Cyclops character here, but most of us know that Cyclops is a giant, or with only one eye on the forehead. So let me quickly outline the forehead here of the giant, and then you will know that the Cyclops eye is of course here. And that's the identity of the Cyclops here. The forging process is the golden disk, of course, because this is the fire. Well, maybe I should do like this instead. This is the fire, the spirit fire. And the striped shadow here, let me find another color, is the glowing metal, because the disk light is running down through the stripes here and make it red hot iron. So he's forging the thunderbolt of Zeus. So that's exactly what the text is describing. The striped shadow and the disk in the Milky Way center. And let's move on to Prometheus, another Greek god who wants to trick Zeus by sacrificing a gigantic bull and dividing into two piles. And in one pile he puts all the meat and most of the fat and covers it with the bull's giant belly. In the other pile he puts all the legs and smears them with fat. So this is the nice pile here or here, and then the cheating pile here for Zeus. There's no fat and meat on the bones. The pile of fat and meat is, of course, the disk in the Milky Way center, and this is the meat, and the fatty area, or most of the fat, is the white area here. So this is the meat and the fat, and the giant belly covering the pile is, of course, the entire Milky Way center here. That's the skin of the bull, and you already know the bull I showed you before. And then we got the pile of bones. It actually says legs, and maybe this is important, but let me outline it here. Because the pile of bones is, of course, the striped shadow here. And then it's smeared with fat, which is the silvery shadow here. And this is also the hind leg, or the back legs of the animal, of the cow or the bull, because it looks like the back part, of backbone of a bull. And what else do we got here? Yeah, and it's the silvery shadow here is smeared with fat because it looks slippery. It's the slippery shadow, when you look up there in real life, it looks like a slimy, slippy thing. And funny enough, because in Norse mythology, this is also the 8-legged horse Sleipnir, which means the slippery one. So, well, 2.0 for my theory here. I believe that's a fact. It can be other ways. Okay, and then let's move on here with Prometheus, because he also steals fire from Olympus and gives it to humans. And Zeus punishes him by tying him to a rock, where an eagle eats Prometheus' liver, and he's put in chain, to the rock. And for those who are not aware of Mount Olympus and the gods, let me quickly outline it here. The entire Milky Way center here is Mount Olympus, and here we got the Olympian gods standing in the sky and say, "Hello down there. If you don't do as we say, Zeus will put some thunderbolts up your beep or in your head." So, but Prometheus is stealing fire, And the fire is, of course, the fire in the Milky Way center, the divine disk light here. And he gave it to humans, the stripes here in the stripe shadow, the mortal realm. And Prometheus is also a character based on the disc and the stripe shadow, but I'll put that in another video with Prometheus. The stripe shadow is also the chains. He's linked or tied to the rocks. So the stripes here are always the chain. And the stripe shadow is also the rock. Every time you hear the word rock, it's the stripe shadow here. And we could argue that this is the outline of the rock. And the stripe shadow is the texture of the rock. Well. And then an eagle is eating of his liver. And of course it is, because the liver is the crescent here. It's the liver in the sky. So here you got the liver of Prometheus, or Prometheus. And now we just need the eagle to eat from it. And what do we got here? We got the divine eagle in the sky. And it's eating of the liver. So here you got everything on the mountain, of course. Okay, I think you understand it. And then we got a myth with the Pandora has sent evil down to earth. And therefore Zeus decides to destroy humanity by flooding the world. And to make a long story very short, the striped shadow here is the flooding. This is all the flood stories you have ever explored in ancient mythology around the entire ancient cultures in the world. This is the flood. No more, no less. So here Zeus is erasing or flooding the world. And now a little love story, because Zeus falls in love with the earthly princess Europe, or Europa. And to win her heart, Zeus multiplies himself into a bull and rides her on his back across the ocean. And for this I have to draw the white bull again, because this is a very famous myth. And here we got the bull. Right. And I just do like this, because then, and here we got the hinder legs, the flying bull, so to speak. So here we got Zeus again transforming into the bull. And the ocean he's flying over or riding over is of course the blue part here. This is always the ocean in the sky. This is also the Atlantic Sea of Atlas, the name giver to the Atlantean Sea, which have been a huge mystery where the name or the term Atlas is coming from. But it comes from here, this part of the Milky Way. And Europa, or Europe, is represented by the silvery shadow riding on the back of the horse. And let me outline here in pink, because she is back behind the horse. so to speak. So here she is riding on the back of the bull of Zeus across the sea in the Milky Way center. Okay, so, and by the way, the European continent was named after the Greek goddess Europe or Europa, which means broad or wide eye. And let me, let's keep the female shape here, because it's very female Europe. So here she are. But the entire Milky Way center here is the eye in the sky. So this is what Europe means. The Milky Way center, wandering from east to the west every day, every month, every year. Maybe I'll make a Europe video someday, but there's not much in that myth. This is the most important thing. So I can only wonder why they used Europe, of all other goddesses, to name the European continent. Well, I'll let you decide. And let me finish off this video by the etymology of the term or name Zeus, which means sky shining, or the shining in the sky. And the shining in the sky is, of course, the good old sky here. And the shining is the golden disc light here in the middle. And it shines into the mortal realm. Sorry. And just to give a quick understanding, the blue area up here, the sea is like the pure, unmanifested spirit, and it manifests here in the disc light. This is creation, so to speak. And this light will hardening when it reaches the mortal realm, our world, so to speak. So this is the process of the Trinity, so to speak, or the early Trinity. Everything comes from nothing, manifest into divine light, and the divine light will start all the building blocks in the mortal, in the physical world. And Roman Jupiter, which is an figure based on Zeus, his name, or this name, comes from Zeus Pater, which means sky father, and this is the same sky as here, the blue sky up here. And father is like the father aspect of the spirit, so to speak, and together with the mother spirit, they are manifesting the divine light in the Milky Way center. So it's exactly the same. And you can learn more about Jupiter, Pater, because it all comes from Egypt. Pater, which is also a figure or character based on the striped shadow and the disk in the Milky Way center. But now you should be wise enough to know what is needed to understand the origin and the inspiration source for creating the Greek god Zeus, the most famous god of them all, I guess, unless you are a nerd like me. Okay, thank you so much for watching. It was a pleasure. I hope you learned something exciting today. Or maybe you just think I am stupid. But I will leave it up to you. And until my next video, take care. See ya. Bye.